friends, it's Carly and I'm back with another review. So today is a retro Spidey figure and I'm really excited to talk about that, but before I do, I wanted to explain why I had two videos yesterday. So you guys know that I'm doing a video every single day until I get through the Age of Apocalypse and retro Spidey figures. But I uploaded two videos yesterday because, and I cannot believe I forgot to tell you about this, I have started a collaboration with nerdbot.com. So once a week I am writing an accompanying article for one of my videos, and I've started picking up something specifically to talk about with them. The videos will still upload on my channel, but I'll also have an article that goes on, or that uploads to nerdbot.com with the video embedded. So please make sure you're checking that out. They've been uploading on Tuesdays. I'll post the video usually on Monday night, sometimes on Tuesday morning, but you'll be able to see that content on their website, nerdbot.com. So with all of this going on, another shipment of pre-orders on the way to me and another shipment of toys that I ordered for another project, there is no slowing down in sight, and if you don't want to miss any of my videos, please make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you get alerts for every single video that I post, which is a lot these days. So with all of that said, let's go ahead and get into this figure. I was really thinking about saving this guy for last because he's so iconic, but when I was going through the box, I was excited about him. I wanted to do it, so I decided, what the heck, I've got other figures to do in the line, but I'm going to do the one that I wanted to do the most right now. So today we're going to be looking at Norman Osborn, the Green Goblin. I am just so impressed at first glance alone, without getting into any of the things that we will be talking about. So impressed with the look of this figure, you guys. I think he looks absolutely insane, which he's supposed to. For those of you who don't know the story, Norman was exposed to a formula that made him super crazy strong, but also drove him mad. And you can see that in his eyes as the Green Goblin. He is Spider-Man's #1 nemesis, his arch nemesis, if you will, and the father of Peter Parker's friend, Harry. So there's a lot of, the only word that's coming to mind is entanglement. However, let's leave that in the news. There's a lot of connection between the Green Goblin, Peter Parker, and Spider-Man, and he is the character that gives him the most challenges and pops up over and over again. So I am really, really impressed with the way this figure looks. Right off the bat, we need to talk about the fact that they have reused the Serpent Syndicate body. And I want to just say right off the bat that I'm not mad at that. The Serpent Syndicate body was also used for the Black Knight. We see it on other goblins. The Demo Goblin used this on the arms. The scaled body is what I'm talking about here. This is what it looks like. And it just is perfect for any of the Goblin figures, but it reads really well as armor too, and it's a good body. You know, for the most part, the points of articulation are on with it. It looks really nice. The sculpt and the musculature is really good. So whenever I see this body, and I will say that we do kind of see it a lot, I'm okay with it because it's a good body. So although we do see a lot of the Serpent Syndicate body, I'm fine with it. In this case, especially, I think it looks really, really good, and it reads for the character. Other points of the sculpt that are interesting, his ears are vinyl. It seems like it's like a strange overlay almost, but they blend seamlessly right into the side of his head, and they are like, they sort of wiggle around like the tip of his hat does. We'll look at the accessories. He's got his satchel, which is full of all kinds of things to attack Spider-Man with. This one I was really excited about, but does end up being a little bit of a disappointment. He comes with a pumpkin bomb, which is sculpted beautifully. I really love the way this accessory looks, but the unfortunate truth about our pumpkin bomb here is that while Norman's hands are sculpted to look like they should be able to hold it, I have messed with and manipulated this accessory for hours and cannot get it to sit nicely in his hand. Now, I do plan to display him on his third accessory, which is his glider, which looks great. It's very simple, but it is exactly what the classic glider was. So I know that sometimes we see really elaborate gliders, like the Goblin glider that just came out, which is sort of like fiery and impressive. But this is a retro figure, and this is what his glider looked like. So while it is simple and direct and doesn't have a lot of crazy design elements, it's true to what he was using, and I'm really happy about it. So back to what I was saying about the bomb, I do plan to display him on his glider. And the design of these gliders is always really effective. It makes great use of his curved shoes in these little straps and gives him really sturdy balance. So you can set him on your shelf and you really just don't have to worry about this figure once you've got him on display. So with that said, it makes it a little bit easier to sort of curve, you know, his hand in such a way that you can maybe, you know, loop a finger around the stem of this pumpkin bomb. I think that ultimately, though, I do want to display it. I think I'm just going to have to, you know, bite the bullet and go ahead and use a bit of putty, and I'm going to do that because this is tiny. There's only one, and I feel like if it falls off the shelf, which I'm sure you guys have noticed in videos past, I'm always bumping something or something is toppling down. And I think that if this fell out of the hand, it could just roll away and you would never see it again. It's itty bitty. So I recommend using a piece of putty. You might be able to manipulate these hands to like curve up against the body in some way and hold this accessory, but I wouldn't want to risk it because it's such a good looking accessory. And if you lost it, I have the feeling it would be gone. So it's unfortunate that they didn't think to, you know, they use pegs and holes for blast accessories. I don't know why they wouldn't do that for the one single sort of accessory that he has. It would have been easy to do, but it's also pretty easy to just stick a piece of putty in there. So that's what I'm probably going to do. The final accessory, we talked about the satchel. It removes, so you can just sort of, you kind of have to like work with it a little bit, but you can lift it over the head and take it off. So the Green Goblin did have his satchel as a regular part of his costume. There'd be all kinds of things in it. But I do have to say, speaking of figures falling, I do have to say that for me, with this vibrant purple and green, which is the right color to go with, that this satchel reads a little bit pursy to me. It sort of looks like a Barbie handbag. And with it on, I mean, it's fine. I'll probably display it with it on, but if you want to take it off, it's really easy to remove. I think that this could have been improved a little bit by making the bag wider at the bottom, like more of a satchel than like a crossbody bag. But it matches the costume. It is what he had, so it's totally appropriate. But if you do want to display without it, it's very easy to just slip over his head. The final accessory that he comes with is a Norman head. And while the sculpt on the head looks really, really good, and I'm happy with it, and I'm always happy that Hasbro is trying to give us accessories that they think that we want. For me, having Norman's head on this body in full costume does not make sense, and I don't like it. I'm not saying there's no precedent for that in the comic books, but it is a weird look, and I'm going to show you. That'll also take us into our first point of articulation. So the neck joint on this is very loose, very loose. It's a ball on a peg. So when you're swapping out the heads, you really sort of need to pinch that joint and then twist the head to get it on. And it takes a little bit of working. It's not easy because the neck joint flops around while you're trying to do it. So I had to really sort of mess with it to be able to do it. Luckily, I practiced and it didn't take me too long just now. But I want to show you because it just looks, it's a good looking head. I'm not criticizing the head itself, but on this body, it's just weird. So for me, the accessory feels unnecessary. I think that we know that Norman is the Green Goblin, but displaying him this way feels weird. Putting him like this on his glider with his pumpkin bomb and his satchel, it's just a strange choice. Now, I do think we could make use of this head. We have a casual clothing Peter that we could maybe put this head on and use the, we could use the Peter head on the Spidey costume or the Spidey Sense head on the Spidey costume. I think there's a lot of ways to make use of the multiple. We have 3 Peter Parker heads, I think. I haven't looked at the classic, actually, Spider-Man yet. So we could use those heads as a part of a Spidey set and use the casual costume for Norman if you feel like you really need to have a Norman on your shelf. I wonder if anybody's going to really feel like that. So I think that the head is a nice effort by Hasbro, but it doesn't really work for me, and I probably won't be using it. I probably don't think I'm going to get that deep on trying to figure out how to have a Norman Osborn displayed on my shelf. I definitely want this Green Goblin though. So let's talk about his articulate points. So as I showed you, that neck is really loose and it makes switching heads hard, but once you've got the head on that you want, you can get so many awesome poses out of this. He turns in every single direction, which really allows you to get some like maniacal, insane looks, which is really important with this character. He's got these creepy yellow eyes, yellow teeth. He just looks crazy. So being able to move his head and give him just an even more maniacal look is great. And I love that the head is that flexible. So swapping heads is tough on this. I don't think ultimately you're going to want to swap the head and have the Norman head on there. And once you have the head on that you do want, the neck is amazing. It gives you a lot of great poses and works really, really well. So the first issue that I come to, and we're just going to do the arms and the legs at the same time, is the lateral lift. The legs on all of these Marvel figures have been bothering me with their lack of lift of late, but on this Green Goblin, the arms have it too, and it's because there's this smaller body with these rounded shoulders. So this is as much lateral lift as we get. Now, you guys know that when I have a highly articulate figure, I want my highly articulate figure to work. So this is not satisfactory to me. These need to lift higher. However, because I'm going to be displaying this figure on his glider, holding his pumpkin bomb, I probably would never be using that lateral lift on this figure. And so it doesn't really bother me, or it's not going to hinder my usage of this figure. Should my articulate points work 100%? Absolutely, and I want them to, and I'm getting a little bit tired of seeing stuff like this on a highly articulate figure. Will this hinder my enjoyment of this specific character figure? No. So as far as the Green Goblin goes, it's going to be okay, but we need to start figuring these things out, Hasbro. I really feel like we've got to get these points of articulation to be consistent across the board, and I think the best way to do that is to start sculpting for the figure rather than reusing and repurposing for every single one. Those are just my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments below. Moving on, everything else about the arms works perfectly. So we've got 360-degree turn in the bicep. We've got double jointed elbows, but you know, with these male bodies with big biceps, there's often a hindrance. In this case, it's because of his long gloves, which are a vinyl overlay. So they bump into each other, but we do get an angle that might help you with getting a good grip on that pumpkin bomb. So I'm not too mad about that. We've got, let's see, 360 degrees in the wrist. We've got a good movement forward and an even more dramatic one backwards, which also I think could really help with getting a good grip on that pumpkin bomb. Let me know what you guys get. If you're on Facebook, go to the Annoying You with Friendship Facebook page and post up your pictures of how you're posing him with his pumpkin bomb. I'd really love to see those. He has a really nice torso bend that goes forward. It's only one click, which seems slight, but because it's his center of gravity, one click of bending forward or bending back is really effective. It looks far more dramatic than it feels. So I think this works really well, and I'm really satisfied with the way that the torso moves. We've got an easy 360-degree waist with a belt that doesn't 100% obstruct that movement like we saw on the Weapon X figure. He has a waist that works with this accessory. I think that, if I cared more about Weapon X, I would go ahead and just cut off his belt, which stinks because it's yellow and it's the only contrast to the rest of his costume. But we know now that you can have a belt. I mean, we've known this. I don't know why they didn't do it with that figure, but with this belt on, we still have unobstructed motion, which is great. We have a 360-degree turn in the thigh. And again, not only do I like the look of these Serpent Syndicate, scaly bodies, the sculpt of them is really good. I really like the muscle tone. I like the size and scale of the arms and legs. I think it's a really nice sort of mid-bulk body, and it's one of my favorites. I really like it. The shoulders need to work, the legs need to move out, but the appearance is really nice. So we've got that nice turn there. We have double jointed knees that work perfectly. And it's nice kind of because with the scales, I think the pin joints are a little bit less noticeable. We have the 360-degree boot and a foot that bends all the way back. We get that good pointed toe that I like, a little bit forward, but then the nice, ball and socket joint that works the way that it's supposed to. So the things that make this figure work for me the most are the facial sculpt. He looks absolutely insane the way that he's supposed to. They made an excellent use of paintwork to give him the scariest yellow eyes, weird yellow teeth, this sort of black rim around his mouth that is very creepy. And they really notched up, I think, the green on this to give it a more like neon appearance. So it stands in stark contrast, not only to the rest of the costume, so the purple and the green offsetting one another, but the Green Goblin is supposed to stand off and offset Spider-Man. And so these wild sort of vibrant, out of sync colors next to the red and blue really even further stands as a way to show that this guy is off balance, to put it nicely. So I think that they really captured the spirit of the character with this design. They're true to the original, which I always appreciate. The glider is a fantastic accessory that makes Green Goblin so much easier to pose and display. And I love the pumpkin bomb, and I'm gonna make it work. I wish that it worked with a little bit less manipulation on my part, but I'm still really glad that I got one. So I am super, super happy. I almost wasn't even gonna mention this, but I have to if I'm gonna do an honest review because I do love this figure so much and I am so happy with it. But it looks like I got another production defect, you guys. It's very slight, but if you're looking here at the torso, you can see the light coming through here. This is something that can easily be fixed by applying heat, either by soaking it in hot water or heating it up with a hairdryer and just squeezing it together. But I want to start pointing these things out because I feel like we're getting to a point where there's always a little bit of something. And in mass-produced figures, you can expect that there will be something every once in a while. But the consistency with which I'm getting a slightly damaged or a slight bleed through or a slight scarring or parts that haven't been molded together or put together properly is becoming a bit alarming. Times are different right now. Times are tough. I don't know how Hasbro is being affected by the state of the world right now. I know that a lot of companies aren't able to produce as much as they were before, but it seems to me that Hasbro hasn't slowed down production. They are just meeting a lower standard, and that as a consumer doesn't quite feel right. Let me know what you guys think about that. I am by no means upset or disappointed with this figure. As I said, the tiny defect that I noticed I can fix easily. Any collector will know how to do that and be able to, but I'm really wanting to get a perfect figure, and I'm hoping that I've got that with something in that box over there. Fingers crossed, we will get to see a figure that is perfectly executed and was manufactured properly. So that is my review on the Green Goblin. I am super, super happy with it. I'm still overwhelmingly so pleased with this retro Spider-Man line, which is fantastic as it stands in contrast to the Age of Apocalypse line, which, while there have been some treats and some things that were okay, there have been problems as well that were overwhelming. So hopefully we'll get a good Age of Apocalypse figure tomorrow. We will see what we see. If you have a particular one that you'd like me to look at, say that in the comments below. I'm going to keep the Spider-Man figures a surprise, but if you guys request an AOA figure to see, I will do that the next day. So thank you guys so much for watching. I am looking forward to doing another video tomorrow. Please head over to nerdbot.com and check out my article on the McFarlane White Knight Batman figures. I'm really proud of it, and I'm really proud to be working with them. Thank you guys for watching my videos, and keep commenting. Make sure you share the content, like, subscribe, say how's it going, drop me a hey friend, and I will get back to you. Thank you for everything, and I will be back tomorrow with another one. Bye, friends.